Angel blessings, beloved souls. This would be my Alois Irlmaier End Times Prophecies number 2. I hope you watched number 1 and you're gonna watch number 3 because it's gonna be like the best I can, chronological, way of explaining. Because he's a very, how to say, a goddess man, a blessed man who gave us a lot of details about what will come, as he died in 59, and from then on he predicted stuff that didn't even existed. Like cell phones, for example. There are many examples. Cell phones or drones, or how you call also drones. When he was explaining things like the drones, he said it was like a small white door, but it was like an aircraft without a pilot. He said, that's how I see it. And he often said, this is, I cannot explain you, but I can only the best I can as I see it. He saw things that didn't even existed, and that was his best way. But let's start a little bit about the history of him. As I mentioned in my first video, he was born in 1894, died in 1959. He was born into a poorish farm family from no, not from childhood on. First he went to World War One, and far as I remember, he went to the Russian front, but very soon was heavy wounded, hardly survived, and brought back to Germany and spent quite some time in the army hospital. I think he had a shot in the lungs or something like that. But there's this stories that say that in that time when he was on the edge of dying, living, where he started as a young man having his first visions. Even though he showed some signs of being a little bit different from childhood on. By different, I mean he was able to find water. I think the right word in English would be dowser, when with wooden sticks you would go around and find water veins, And then later on, he would continue doing this all to the end of his life, basically, and he became how you call it, well builder. Yes, he would. People would call him all around, hundreds of kilometers around in Bavaria, Upper Bavaria, and to find water, which he always did, and then built a wall. And this is how he made basically his living. And then these stories, about even the time witnesses from that time who said in these documentaries that I mentioned that he would come, and then while he was looking for water, or when he found it, and when he would build a wall, he would just out of nowhere tell them things like, I don't know, one day you're gonna marry this man or to a girl, or who would say you would marry this man or girl, and you will have so much children and this and that, and take care. Even he would give kind of health tips, take care of your liver or of your heart. And as I said in my first video, people always confirmed it was true. It was really true, There's a funny story about a woman she told in this Bavarian documentary TV film movie that she was in love. She was young. She was in love with a guy in Munich, and she wanted to move there and da da da. But he told her, no, it won't happen. You will meet someone else, and you will live on a farm. She hated. She wanted to run into the city. She grew up, was born on a farm, and you will have 5 children, no, 4 children, and you will live by the trains, and then, you know, she and her husband, like 80 something years, you see them, they're really on a farm with a railroad next to their house. Just a small example of, of the many, many thousand stories. But what he really, one of the things that he became famous, let's say famous and known for, was this connected to the court case. After the war, there were like, I don't know, about a million German soldiers missing, especially from the Soviet front, and people who know that he foretold a lot of things in their private lives, um, they would come, and they started to come and ask with pictures from their loved ones, fathers, brothers, sons, um, to ask him if they were alive or will they come back. And he really actually, let's say, hated it. He didn't like that, and he always said, I hate to tell you, or, he will not come back. And he didn't like that. So someone who was really doing deep, there are a few people who did serious, nice research about his life and all this stuff, said that it was estimated that in the 4 or 5 years after the war, 30 to 40,000 people came, because he was working during the week, of course, and weekends, instead of having a pause, a rest, he would take people in who would stand in lines and lines in front of his house and asking for their loved ones, how they're coming back. So this is when the local priest sued him, that he was like cheating people and using them, which was not true. As I said, witnesses said that when the bombing occurred, he told them exactly, so the bombing is coming and your house will be, there will be a bomb dropping your house, get out. And this is how he actually saved hundreds of lives in his neighborhood, and even villages around and small towns and stuff like that. So he was a very simple man, and besides that, he was he was a mother goddess worshipper, extremely, extremely. And there was a church, and where there's a black, I think it is a black Madonna statue. He went there and worshipped it. He was not particularly attached to the church and the ways of the church, but he was a man of God, and especially, as I said, a Mother Mary worshipper. So he went regularly to this church with this Madonna, and many times there was, I think, a monastery in Salzburg, Austria, which is on the border with Bavaria, and he also very often went there because he liked it. He also somehow considered it a holy place where he would go for his own spiritual retreatment. So he was very simple and very honest. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure quite yet how to chronologically, if I know so many informations about him, I have to put it together. But chronologically, what are all the things that he predicted? Among other things, I want to tell in front, um, he also very much talked about the wars, the inflations, and he is one of those who mentioned the 3 days of darkness and the markers how we will recognize when they will come, what will happen during the 3 days of darkness, how to behave, what to do, what not to do. And this is something for sure I will make a whole video just about the 3 days of darkness, or the 72 hours, And he was talking, of course, about God's plan, God's plan to clean up Mother Earth and from all the dark forces and demons and so on. It's part of God's plan, and he's one of, I said in my German videos, as 80% of all the, I will say, European prophecies, they all come together. 80%, they come together. There are a few little bit, 20% that have a little bit different details about what will occur and what will come and how. But yes, Alois Irlmaier was one of those, as many of you maybe know or not, I don't know. There's a lot of English about Padre Pio, who was really, really a holy man in Italy. I recommend you also look into his prophecies, and especially about the 3 days of darkness. So all this, who saw the 3 days of darkness, they didn't know each other, There was no internet and communication and as in our times. So I think this would be for video number 2. I think so, because I said in my first video I don't want them to make it too long, so you can shortly go one by one and then make your own opinion and your own conclusions about Alois Irlmaier and other prophecies. I think this is so much now for video number 2. People, take care. God bless you, and blessings, all my love to you.